Thanks for joining us. And your name is?
Glenn Gardiner.
And Glenn, you're from Penrith.
Penrith City Council, yes.
And your role there is?
I'm the council, well, not the council, I'm a councillor.
And you've been on council now for?
This is my second term. So there's a short term from 2021 up until last year, and re-elected last year.
So you were happy to go again. Good on you.
I don't know about happy to go again, but willing.
But look, just to set a context, you shared an interesting story before that you've been concerned that there's a fair bit of complacency in your area around.
Yeah, in my local area. So I live in a location called Londonderry.
Yep.
And Londonderry receives backwater from the Hawkesbury River during the Hawkesbury River flood. And there's a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of misinformation, complacency around that, and even the idea or the concept of backwater. People sort of look at it like you've got two heads when you talk about backwater and explain what it is. And they say, there's no way a river does that. And so that's concerning, particularly when they're in the firing line of something major.
What's that mean for you as a challenge? So I get a sense that you do have a reasonable sense of empathy and willingness to communicate. Like it's like as a councillor, like is that a big part of one of the skills in your toolkit?
Yeah, because it's a key issue in my location, in that area of Londonderry and Landilo, but Park and the surrounding areas. It is a key area, a key issue in that area, and so it does become an election issue. It does become a hot topic, when it comes time to for council elections. The being able to communicate what's potentially going to happen, or what could happen, what has happened. Recently. The last couple of years, in 2021, 2022, there were 3 events. They were up around 14 metres, or Windsor flooded around 12 14 metres a couple of times. And so that backflowed into Londonderry. And I get bombarded with complaints about council drains being blocked. It's council drains don't cause the Hawkesbury River to increase 14 metres. And that's the next council anyway. But that misunderstanding and this idea of looking at a creek that always flows and now all of a sudden it's not flowing, well, there must be a blocked drain. And that's what we're looking at. That's the level of understanding that we have.
Fantastic.
And those events as well, around that 12, 13 and 14 metres, they're 1 in 20, 1 in 30-year event. They're not the 1 in 100-year event. And there are, or they're not higher than a 1 in 100-year event. Potentially even be higher again. And it's certainly not the highest on record. 1867 being the highest, up around I think it was 19 or 20 metres or something, maybe 21. I can't recall. But anyway, that's that an extra 7 metres, an extra 6 or 7 metres. That takes in a whole lot more than what's been taken in recently.
What do you think? What's sort of the skills or involvement that someone like you would need to do to be able to sort of get on top of that? Is that something you do in conjunction with your council colleagues or so? Like it's.
Yeah, that's right. We've got a flood study happening at the moment.
Okay.
And I can see that. Well, Rickaby's Creek flood study. We've had a South Creek just down the road. That was done a few years ago. But the Rickaby's Creek flood study is happening now, and also we've just recently had the Hawkesbury European flood study remodelled. And so once we get the Rickaby's Creek, model it in with the coincidence flooding of Floodplain Riverine, we'll get a better understanding of what can happen. But I know selling that story is going to be very, very tricky, and it's going to be, you're just making it hard, you're making my insurance go up. That's the sort of comments that we'll get back. So I'm a bit worried about that, about how that's going to be communicated and received. I've seen it a couple of years ago. We had babies being rescued out of homes 2 a.m. in the morning by the SES. There's just not there's still not the care or consideration for that danger. That's
a huge awareness issue, isn't it? Like it's a long-term thing. But in doing all this, Glenn, so what is it that you enjoy about your role?
As councillor? Or in the flood side?
Well, as a councillor, what gives you the satisfaction in being a councillor?
Yeah, look, I can understand, from a process point of view, from a policy creation point of view, I get that and I understand it. And I also get and understand, the average Joe. I consider myself an average Joe. but I can understand, difficult concepts, and I can understand policy and whatnot. And so being able to bring those two together and apply it, interpret it, and communicate it backwards and forwards. So I feel like I'm, the representative of Mr. Smith, Mr. Jones, and whatnot, where I can think about them and apply their thoughts and apply what they would expect to see, when some policy document is being devised or,
you can influence
financial plans. Or implement it as well. Absolutely,
Glenn, fantastic. That was
Thank you
great.
very much.
Thank you. Oh, look.